So the Riders Republic beta dropped. If you don't know what that is, it's an open world esports game made by Ubisoft. It's essentially a continuation of Steep, I guess. It's not Steep 2, but it's Steep with a new map, bikes and grindable rails. Just to give my overall opinion on the beta, it was extremely fun. It was the most fun I've had in a while. I am going to be a bit biased because I already liked Steep. Steep is one of my favourite games, so I was more likely to like this anyway. I'll give positives and negatives later though. So let's get into the gameplay. There'll be 6 disciplines you're able to play with, but in the beta they only gave us access to around about 4. So there'll be snowboarding, skiing, mountain biking. You'll have the snowmobile, which comes under the explore tab, and then the rocket wing and windsuit that goes under the air tab. The thing I like about these kind of games is that if you want to play solo, you can. The game starts off very user friendly and you can increase the difficulty at your own pace. There's no rush, so you can take your time and explore the open world if you wish, or if you're a returning player like me, you can just go straight for high scores. Controls seem easy to pick up. Compared to Steep, I do feel that they were a bit more loose. Depending on what kind of player you are, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I prefer Steep's controls, but at the same time, I have many more hours in that game. There was even a setting where you could change to make the stick controls the same as Steep's and how they used to be, which as a returning player I can appreciate. In terms of the map, the scale is extremely large. This time there's a mix of environments, so now it's not just a snowy mountain area, you also have like green forests and sandy deserts. I like each part individually, but I don't like how they flow together. So for example, you'll be snowboarding down the mountain, and then there's this random road from the bike trail that you have to jump over. It just doesn't really flow well to me. I want to say they have new POIs as well. There's like random giant sculptures that you can do tricks off, or there'll be a town you can explore. And now let's get into the multiplayer. Alright, cool. Do not get me started on the multiplayer. It is mad entertaining. Matchmaking isn't the quickest, but for a beta you can't really knock that. I don't think I waited over 2 minutes to get in the game, but once you did, it's lit. It's just mad lit. So the different game modes are trick battles. These are team-based skill events. High score wins. There's free-for-alls, self-explanatory, every man for themselves. And then there's the mass race. This is a 3-round race which can have up to 32 players. In my opinion, this is the most fun game mode. It's hectic. If you think getting a Warzone win is hard, this is flipping difficult because you will get bumped. There's a lot of luck in getting a win in this, simply because if you mess up at any point, or you hit a tree, or someone bumps you, or you miss a checkpoint, you got a lot of catching up to do. But there's so much fun in that madness. Alright, getting into the negatives. I have a few negatives, but they're not crazy. Overall, I do think this is a really good game, and I would recommend it, but are a couple of things that need to fit. So, first one is on-screen text-to-speech. So, by default, the game has text-to-speech on, and I understand if that's a feature for those, an accessibility feature for those who are, let's say, lesser abled or visually impaired and they need it. The thing I don't like is that it's the silliest, like, if you ever had a friend that had one of those like Bluetooth speakers that was really cheap, you know them bad Bluetooth speakers that didn't really get too loud, like those really poor ones. The voice when you turn those on, that's the text-to-speech voice. It's patronizing how bad it is. It's terrible. And even after I disabled it when I restarted the game, it turned itself back on, which is very silly. Mountain biking was a bit lackluster for me. That's just my opinion. It wasn't as fun as what the other events had to offer. I also encountered the most amount of glitches while riding on a mountain bike, but it was nothing game breaking. Fast travel, they need to tweak it slightly, because if you fast travel to a location, it won't take you directly to that location. It will spawn you like 100 or 200 meters away. Sometimes it would spawn you like 1,000 meters away, and then you're having to do like big journey just to get to your event. Lastly, this may just be me, but controls seem much more solid on Steep, especially in the air. In Steep, you could do this like air strafe if you're doing like a wingsuit event or like a time trial, and it just made it, I wouldn't say easier, but it gave you much more control in the air, whereas this, again, the controls are much more loose, and I wasn't as confident in the air as I would be on Steep. Looking at the positives, this game's way more fun than Steep. You had way more to do. from a solo aspect, and you had way more to do multiplayer wise. There's a new backtrack feature which, if you mess up, it will let you rewind time to some point to where you can continue the race. This is better because in Steep, if you messed up, you had to restart the whole race, whereas the backtrack feature will kind of let you go back and kind of continue from a point where you weren't doing as bad. If you're doing a time trial, you're still gonna have to be perfect, so that's not gonna help you. But for some of the more casual players, that's a really good. And another one, they increased the number of NPCs on the map greatly. Like, there are thousands of NPCs around the map. So whether you're playing solo, co-op with your friends, let's say you're trying to get a nice line or just get a few tricks in, you'll see NPCs around you doing their old tricks, and that would make for a good video as well. Now, in terms of what I want from the full version, all I would say is, for the team trick battles, give me more maps. Again, as a beta, they may have more maps, they may have just given us one. But at launch, a good 3 to 5, or you know, a couple, and then a few months release a new map, so that it gives an incentive to kind of keep coming back and playing it. But yeah, no, besides that, I'm very excited for this.